Hey everybody, and welcome to my very first video in Maya 2019. We're going to do a beach chair scene today because where I'm at right now it's quite cold and I'd rather be on a beach. Right, here we go. This video has been made possible by Luxion, the creators of Keyshot. Okay guys, well we're in Autodesk Maya 2019 and it's actually my first tutorial video in Maya 2019, and you would probably expect me to do a special on it explaining all the new cool features and whatnot, but to be honest, for the most part it's updates and little tweaks, right? So that doesn't warrant a special video on it as far as I'm concerned. However, I will be covering all those elements as we move forward in future videos, right? Now we're going to do this beach chair today. Before we get started, I need to address a comment that I received. Apparently I don't smile enough in my videos. Okay, so here we go. You like it? Okay, cool. So let's get to our beach chair here. Now it may not seem that complicated, but it incorporates a couple of techniques that might be helpful for similar items. My tutorials are always about the technique, not necessarily the object. So if you can do this chair, you can also do canopies, you can do awnings and whatnot, all right? So that said, let's get started. Now, a couple of things we know here if we're looking at this chair. The base on the front here and the base in the back, they're both touching the ground. So that's our baseline, we know that. We know that these pieces in the front here are almost vertically level and in the back as well. So that's going to kind of be our guideline, right? So let's start somewhere around here. Let's take a polygon cube and we're just going to pull that out. And we don't have to copy this exactly. We can make it bigger or smaller. That's fine as long as the overall proportions are right. Let's do something like this. And what I'll do is actually turn my grid on here. Let's see, make that a bit thinner, and then hit E to rotate and hold down J and move that upright. Hit R to push it down a bit. Let's say that that's alright, okay? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit Control D to duplicate this guy, and I'm going to hit W to move it up for now. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to move that up like so, and then I'm going to hit the Insert key and move that, hold down V so I can snap it to that corner, right? We're going to hit the Insert key again, and then we're going to hit E to rotate, and we can now freely move this. And it doesn't have to be the exact same angle, but we're going to use our reference just to have an idea, okay? Now, this guy, we want the front to be roughly level with this here, right? So we're going to hit W to move that forward, and that would be somewhere around here, I would say. We're going to hit the Insert key again. We're going to hold down V again. Let's snap that pivot to that top corner right there. Hit E to rotate, move that down. And now what we need to do is we need to find that angle. Now this is pretty close. So now I need to hit W to move it up. So in the back there, it's touching the floor as well. And as you can see, it is. So that's not too bad. However, the seating space here is not a lot. Okay, so we might need to adjust that a little. So what I'll do here, I'm going to give a thought, is change the angle a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to hit E. And by doing that, as you can see, what happens is I now have more sitting space here. So I think this looks a bit better, maybe something like that, which means that I need to bring this in, all right? So I'm going to hit R to bring that in because we want the back to be about the same level here. And then hit E to rotate that again and push it down onto the base. That's pretty good. Okay, so now we have that. Let's have a look. Now we know that this one right there is inside that one. So we're going to hit W. We're going to move this in. And then from a top view, we're going to make sure that they're positioned correctly, like that. And we're only going to do one end because we're going to copy that over to the other one, right? Now, we're going to need some notches here in the back that we're going to need later on. But first, we need to create this guy. We know that this is almost perfectly vertical. So we're going to need to create them after we know where this is going to be, right? So we're going to borrow this guy. We're going to hit Control D again. We're going to hit W to move it. Let's hit E to rotate it and hold down J. And I'm wondering what's easier, because this needs to be perfectly at 90 degrees. And there you go, minus 90. What we're going to do is we're going to hit W, we're going to bring that up to where we roughly need to be, or at least where we think we need to be. And that would be, I would say, somewhere around here, like that. We're going to go in here, we're going to go to vertex, we're going to move that up to about there. And as you can see, we've got a cross section there. We'll deal with that later. Let's just have a look and see what we got. And that's going to be on the outside, of course, right? So it's already on the outside here on this guy, and it's inside that one. So this means that this needs to come out a bit, like that. And then we're going to have pegs stick out there, this guy, right? So that's good. Excuse me. So now let's see if we can add some notches there. And we're going to need multiple because we want it to be an adjustable chair. So we're going to select this guy. And what we're going to do is we're going to go into Insert Edge Loop, option box. Let's set that to manual for now. And then we'll go in here. And I'll actually grab this guy in object mode, hang on. So I'm going to go in here and let's take this guy, okay, and go to Insert Edge Loop, and let me see, we'll put one in here and one in here, and we're going to be able to tweak that, of course. But first let's see if our position is okay. And the best way to find out is just to take this, Control D to duplicate, E to rotate, hold down J, and then we're going to flip it down again until it's basically upright, like so. We're going to W, we're going to move that down, we're going to move that in here. This can be a bit thinner, so we'll hit R and we'll bring that in like this. Make sure it's centered, like that. Let's bring that in here, like so. Now we don't need this face here, so let's get rid of that. And of course the one on the other end as well. And then from our top here, we can see if we're aligned or not. You can hit 4 on a keyboard. All right. So that should look okay. Now it needs to come down a little bit, as you can see. So we're going to bring that down to about there. And now we can see whether our little notch there is working out or not. And it seems to be. So we're going to go in here. We're going to go into that face. We're going to delete it. We're going to go in here to Insert Edge Loop, option box. Let's go to multiple and 1, so it'll be nice and centered. And we'll go in here and we'll put one in right there. Hit Q on our keyboard, so we can now go to right click face, delete that and delete that. And then we can go into Edge 1 and 2. And let's go to Bridge, option box, linear path, that's fine. Let's do 1 subdivision and bridge. So that's closed. We'll do that here as well. G to repeat. And then 1 and 2 and G to repeat. So that is now closed, that is, yeah. Now we need to adjust the position, of course. Although it doesn't look too bad from this point of view. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this guy down. Let's hit W. And what we'll do is we'll have a look from this view, I would say. Nope. This is our best bet, I would say. Yeah. It's very hard to see though. Let me just have a look here. It's kind of important to get that right. Okay. So that seems to be okay. And you might even want to go as far as taking this guy and bring that down to kind of match that angle. Let's see, so that one's touching, that one's touching, so I'll get something like that, right? Now that's good, meaning that we now have to go in here and take this face and extend that just a little. So that all looks okay. Now you can make multiple notches there if you want, but that's how you do it. And let's see what our next step is. Okay, so that's all good. So what we're going to do next is we're going to take all of this, we're going to Control G to group everything. Let's go to Modify and Center Pivot. So we're going to jump to our top here, and we can hit W to move it, and hold down X, like that. And then we're going to go in here, and what I want to do is take this and this, go to Mesh and Combine, and I want to instance that over. So we're going to get Duplicate Special, Option Box. Let's go to -1 on Z, and Duplicate Special. We'll bring that in here. And if we look at it from the top, let's see if we can make that work distance-wise. That's pretty important. So the best way to do that is to go to Modify and Center Pivot on this guy. Hit W to move it, hold on X. That is now centered. So we can now see exactly where we need to be, right? So we're going to bring that in. And we're going to take that. Let's have a look. And that seems to be okay. All right, so what's next? So we need a little cross section at the end there. So we'll borrow this guy and we'll hit Control D to duplicate, W to move backwards, E to rotate, hold on J and flip it like this. Then we're going to go in here, have to frame it. And what we'll do here, because this guy is not straight, let's just make it straight. Take that vertex, hit W, hold on X, and there you go. So we're going to bring that in here, we're going to push it down here, after frame, pivot points in the middle. Let's put it in here, rotate it a bit. Okay, now let's go in here and shorten it a little bit. So we got that going on there. And now we want one in the front. So we'll take this, Control D to duplicate, W to move forward. We'll put one in here. E to rotate that. W to move it. And at this point, we really don't need that reference anymore. So just hit H to hide it. So that's what we got. Now we want to have one of these guys here on top and one there. So Control D to duplicate. Let's pull that up. Let's have a look here. After frame, E to rotate. And then we want one at the bottom, Control D, W to move, and that's going to hold our fabric. After frame, E to rotate, and W to bring in like this. All right. So now that we have that, we need to create fabric for our chair, right? And we need to create some screws here to hold that together. We can do pegs as well if you want. You can just take a simple cylinder, hit E to rotate, hold on J, like this. We'll hit R to scale it down, extend it a bit. We'll push that up, W to move. Let's go in here after frame. So let's put that in here. If we look from the top, we'll take these vertices, bring that in like this, and then we'll go into object mode, Control E to duplicate, W to move it over. So that should work. So there you have it, yeah. And then let's have a look at our cloth, and this guy needs to be extended a little bit. All right, okay. So now that we have that, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a polygon plane, hit W to move that up. We're gonna hit F to frame. We're gonna go in here and we're gonna set that to 1 by 1. All right, we're going to bring it in here and we're going to bring that down, hit R to pull that out like so. Make sure we're inside the framework. That's about right. And then we're going to hit W to move that forward. And we basically want that to be on the edge there, like so. So if you go in here to edge and take the edge of this guy, make sure we got the right one. Pull it out a bit further. This guy, and we hit Control E to extrude. We can pull out and push down. And push in. Hit G to repeat and push it like this. And maybe push up. Okay, so we'll take this guy. We'll push that one up a bit. Let's see how far. And then we'll take the one on the bottom here. All right, so now that we have that, let's take this one. Let's move that over here and move that up there. All right. Then we Control E to extrude, and let W to pull out. Like that. Have to frame that. Make sure it's not sticking out. And then we'll Control E again and just tuck it in there. Okay, you get the idea, right? All right, so now that we have that, how do we make this look like an actual beach chair? Well, first of all, we're going to go in to Insert Edge Loop, Option Box. Let's do multiple and one. And as a result, every time I put one in, it will be in the middle. So there's one in the middle there, one there. And depending on how high poly you want this to be, you can add more or less, right? So we'll do this. We're not going to go crazy on it. That's about right. And then let's see here, we'll do a few in this direction as well. And what I need is vertices to make sure that they don't cut into my material. So this seems to be all right, okay? I'm gonna Q on my keyboard. Okay, now that we have that, I'm gonna go in here, object mode, select that. We're gonna go into FX to nCloth, and we're gonna create nCloth, okay? There we go. Now, what happens if we jump into our animation here and hit play is it will fall straight down. So what we need to do a couple of things. First of all, what we're going to do is we're going to go in here and we're going to take this piece and this piece in here, not that piece and that piece, and on our nCloth we're going to go and create a passive collider. Okay, then we're going to go in with our nCloth and we're going to jump to the top. And we're going to right click and go to vertex and drag select these and shift drag select these and go under end constraint to transform constraint. So now if we hit play, as you can see, it starts to hang as a fabric and it stays in place there, right? Now, the thing there is though that it's very rigid, it's not really smooth. So what we need to do is we need to change that a little bit. So let's go into our nCloth shape. We're going to go to presets and we're going to change the material type. So let's try something that is very soft. Let's see, maybe a t-shirt material, and we'll hit replace, and then we'll go back to 1 and we'll play again. That's a little bit. Okay, so a couple more things we can do here. We're going to go to the dynamic properties, stretch resistance. Let's bring that way down. And let's try this again. That's better. Go back to 1, hit play again. That's more like it, right? That's actually pretty good. Now, I think we need to adjust a few verts, but that's okay. We'll do that in a minute. Let's bring this down a little bit more. And then the compression resistance as well. We'll bring down the bend resistance. And let's hit play one more time. Okay, I think overall that looks fine. Okay, so let's say this is our finished cloth, or almost finished anyway. We're going to do next, we're going to make sure we got this selected. We're going to go to Edit, Delete by Type History, and Modify Freeze Transformation. Right, so now what we can do is go into our outliner and we can take our nCloth, our rigid bodies, our dynamic constraint. We can get rid of all of that and we'll still have our cloth. Now we do need to get rid of this guy here, and now you get something like this. Now it's no longer an nCloth object. We do need to tweak the this top row a little bit here, so we're going to go in here to, I think we can get away with tweaking the edge, but we'll see. We'll hit W, we'll bring that in a little bit, like so. That looks pretty good. We'll do the same here. Not such a need there. We'll go into vertex, we'll take this one vert. I think it's this one. That looks alright. And then the last thing we need to do is either add screws or use these pegs. I think the pegs look kind of cool, and this guy needs to be extended, looks like. So let's hit R, and there you go. We'll take that peg here, and there. We'll hit Control D to duplicate, we'll hit W to move forward. And they might be too big, most likely. So what I'll do, after frame, is I'll just push this one out, like so. We'll get rid of one. We'll take this, we'll bring it in here, we'll hit R to scale it down, like that. And then once we have all of them in place and we're happy, we can then pull them out. It's just to add a little detail, okay? So Control T to duplicate, W to move to the back. Now there we need to make sure that the position is correct. Needs to come in a bit. So there you have it. These two are okay. And then let's see, do we need more? Yeah. We're going to Control D to duplicate. We're going to move this up. And that one can actually be a bit bigger. W to pull that out. Maybe even hit R. Hit R some more. And then let's see, we want one down there as well. So let's hit Control D to duplicate, W to move down. After frame, let's hit R to scale it down a little bit, W to move that up to about there. So I think we got one almost everywhere. One more, Control D. So that's going to be about there. After frame. Let's see if it's sticking out okay. Okay, and now these need to be instanced over. I'm going to hit 4 for wireframe mode. Alright, and then we're going to drag select all of this. We're going to deselect this and this. And then we're going to go to mesh and combine. Let's go to edit, duplicate special. Settings are still the same. For shaded mode. I do have a duplicate here, looks like. This one needs to go. Alright. And that completes our chair. So that's all there's to it. If you have any questions, let me know as always. And that said, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget about our key visual challenges going on, the B&Q key visual challenge. Great prizes to win. I'll put a link below. And that said, I'll see you guys in the next video. Okay, bye. Well, thanks for watching. And before you go, please hit that MH button to subscribe, okay? See you guys next time. Bye.